My name is Nikki. I am the Programs and Exhibits Coordinator at Arlington Heights, formerly the Genealogy Librarian there. We have Suz Bates with us to do part 2 of a genealogy program, or I'm sorry, of a DNA program with us. Suz, thank you so much.
No problem. Hi, everybody. I love Arlington Heights Library. It's such a great library for genealogy. And if you have a question today, go ahead and put it in the chat, and Nikki will monitor it. And Nikki, if it's a question that is right what I'm talking about, go ahead and interrupt me, because DNA is a little tricky to do. Okay, let me share my screen and we're going to get started because we have a lot to do, but we started about 15 minutes late, so I get to go over that much. Okay, here we go. And let me get to my PowerPoint. All right, and start her up. Okay, so the first thing, of course, I want to say thank you so much to Arlington Heights for having me back for the second in this series, and to see everybody again. It's really nice. So I'm going to just do a little bit of review of what we did last time so that everyone's on the same page. And we know that with DNA, we have, with genealogy, we have a paper trail that we have followed for years and years and years. And now we have this DNA piece that we get to add into it. And what DNA can do is it can connect you to living members so that you can share your research with other people who are researching. It also can connect you with family members that you didn't know, like cousins that you haven't found before. It also can validate your paper trail. You knew that Sarah was married to Otis, but you had no proof, but you knew that the paper trail was leading there. And next thing you know, you get a DNA kit that goes boing, 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 right back to Sarah. It's really a great tool to have. You can also, this is what we're working on today, build out your family tree. And people always ask me, why do I want to build it out with all those collateral people? And that is because if you want to continue going back along your direct ancestors, you have to do the collateral, because the farther back you go, the more spread out information is. And you may find out a brother from an uncle's will. You may find your great fifth great grandfather from a marriage announcement of his sister. And so you have to do collateral. Also, I think many genealogists that are really into genealogy, you know, those who are up at 2 o'clock in the morning, those you want to have all those people on there. You may not have sourced it as in detail. You may not have as many stories about your collateral, but you do want to know about that. You also find some interesting people. So that's why you build out your family tree. And one of the fastest ways and most accurate way to build out your family tree is to follow the DNA leads with sourcing. You cannot believe the through lines. They're based on trees. You cannot believe MyHeritage theories of relativity. It's based on trees. You have to do your work. You cannot believe other people's trees because they're doing the best they can, but you may see things differently than they do. I can't tell you how many times I see something on someone else's tree and they didn't even bother to check the dates. So they have a person giving birth to a kid and the person was already dead. And so you have to be your own editor. And don't worry that someone else is wrong. Just worry that you have it as sourced as you can. In genealogy, there really isn't a right or wrong. There's, do you have a source? That's the answer. And how valid is your source? Also, you can find, you know, as you're finding different family members, and you can find these unknown family members, which can be a tricky business. And also you can preserve a relative's DNA for future. We don't know what the future holds. And so I have taken to any of the older relatives, I send them a kit and I pay for it, and I then own it so that I can control it as I'm doing my research. So let's now talk about this unknown piece. And I do this with every one of my workshops for DNA, because as a family member who has had bonus children, additional people added to my family, and additional connections I did not know about, I know how it can be a little bit tricky in your family. And now that you're really with the second DNA event that we're having tonight, it can be a little tricky, and you have to be considerate of other people's feelings. And when they say no, they don't want to know about it, they don't want to know about it. It's because when you find these lost connections, they weren't necessarily a connection that was a joyful event or one that they wanted people to know, or there wouldn't have been a disconnection. So you have to be careful, you know, those rules that we have in our lives and in our society that change as time goes on. They're made by people. And, you know, as soon as people make rules, people are going to change them. So we just need to accept the humanity in us all, forgive the foibles, and just research out to reunite rather than reach out to reunite rather than to say, see, I told you so, and look at, I have I have the poop, I have the gossip. It's not a good way to go about DNA. All right, DNA testing. It supplements your research. It detects hints for you to go research, and it confirms your paper trail. But your job is to make the connection. Who is who in your DNA, and who are they connecting to? And that's our goal tonight, is to build out your tree by making connections. We have to keep in mind there are three, there's more than three, but the three main distinction of DNA. One is all of us go straight up through our ancestors, our direct ancestors. And that's what we emphasize in our research when we first start. But you can't do that for DNA. In DNA, you do your direct, but then you have to do the collaterals, because those names that are on your DNA matches are current alive people. And if you have a name you don't recognize, that surname, you have to figure out how it got there. Was it a female to female to female? Was it a bonus child? You have to figure out those current surnames. So in order to do that, you have to first go back and research all the collateral and then come forward. And we talked about this in our last group, in our last event, where you're researching back through all the collaterals, remember all the bunnies. And then once you get back forward, now you're at the DNA, now you work backwards again. And that's what we're doing today. Second distinction is that there's a point of no return. In other words, with a paper trail, when you have a hole in your chart, you know that two names are going to go on there because it took a boy and a girl to make a baby. And so you know that if you just research long enough, sooner or later, you'll fill all those holes and you have a full circle completely filled with 7 generations. That's not what happens with DNA. The blue part represents the DNA matches, how much DNA a person got. And as you see, the farther back you get, the less DNA you get. Most of us are only getting 1.56% of the DNA from our 5th great grandparent, and that's called genetic dilution. And it exists, but that doesn't mean you can't use the DNA past the 5 generations, so down there by the 10, 12 centimorgans. But you have to do it with a grain of salt, and you have to check it and prove it with your paper trail. We know we are safe at 50 centimorgans for total, and we know we are safe at 12 centimorgans for the longest, for the length. We know that that's going to probably be a match. It's not going to be a false positive. But again, you get to play with those numbers. This is only a starting point. And today, that's one of the things I want you to understand, that yes, you can go below it. Yes, you can go down farther. And as you move below it and further, you have to just be sure that you are cross-referencing, using the paper trail and connecting DNA to DNA so that you are sure you have the right line. But this is just a start so that you can be safe. But as you work your matches, you'll know when you can go lower. You'll know when you need another kit, and you'll know when you need to use a different tool, such as a chromosome browser, not the one on Ancestry. The one on Ancestry is based on origins. Chromosome browser is based on people. And you'll know when you need to use a matrix or get another kit or go to GEDmatch. You'll know. The third distinction is, you don't have to worry that you're not a match. I had a person say to me once, all of those names, I don't know any of those cousins, they're not real. Yeah, they are real. So you can be sure that there is no doubt you match. As long as you're at the 50%, the 50 centimorgans and the 12 length, you probably are going to match. And there's a lot of charts that tell you, these are Blaine Bettinger's, that tell you how many centimorgans equals what type of relationship, 3rd cousin, 4th cousin. I find Blaine's charts quite helpful, just as the DNA painter is very helpful for giving you that information. Ancestry, all the kits give you their version. And remember, every kit has a different algorithm and has a different version of their chart. And so sometimes you have to play in and out when you're dealing with a mystery, because we know you just keep passing on that DNA. All right, let's get to our job today. All right, one of the things that we know is that you have to source out your tree, and that means you have to source out the trees of your matches, not just your tree, but the matches tree. And how you do that is you are still going to work in the genealogical triad. You're going to look, everybody is somewhere, everybody is someplace, and everybody is during a time frame. And when you find proof of that, which the easiest is a census, because it has all three things on it, a family group in a location at a specific time, those are really easy sources that you can immediately verify. Okay, I'm on the right path. All right, and this is if you've ever come to my genealogy, you've seen this triad a million times. It's a triad of genealogical interconnections. Okay, now Ancestry and now MyHeritage both have these dot charts, and you have a dot chart that you can use. I've made one for just Ancestry and one that has both of them on them. The numbers are on there so that people who have color problems with visualizing color, reading color, the numbers match and they go down. They start at the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. Okay, so it's all about the tools at the kits, and today we're talking about Ancestry, but that doesn't mean Ancestry is only useful for Ancestry. I use Ancestry as my base research tree, and so all of the DNA from all of the companies, including GEDmatch, I keep track of them on my Ancestry tree. And so if I have a match in family tree DNA that doesn't show up in Ancestry, it's still on my Ancestry tree, and I have cross-referenced it, so I know that. So you get everything in one place so you can really see what's in your pot. So first, of course, we start with shared matches on family tree DNA. It's in common or not in common. And then we look at the centimorgan information that's provided. All of them now provided. Contact information, Ancestry is a bit annoying because it's messaging, whereas other ones are emails. And now Ancestry has these ethnicity inheritance or origins arcs, and they're you know how the maps and the information about your origins aren't necessarily 100% valid because it's all based on those panels. That was the last session. Well, the arcs are based on those. So the arcs are helpful, especially if you are starting out with, I haven't the faintest idea of anyone on anything of this. So at least they'll split it side to side so that you know, at least this is one side, this is the other side. I don't know if it's my mom's side or my dad's side, but at least I know those matches go there. But when you start getting into it, you still have to dot. And I'm going to show you all that. And then, of course, you may have to later use chromosome browsers. And then, of course, there's the common ancestors. And we talked about the family tree feature while we were waiting. Today, we're doing common ancestors. And the common ancestors lead to through lines and theory of relativity, which are genetic matrices. That's your goal. Your goal is to follow the steps on that quick start chart, and which I gave you. If you need a quick start chart for the other kits, they're on my website. Just go there, top middle somewhere is the word free, go down on there. So we're going to work on this one with Ancestry, and we're going to start with separating. Then we already did create a tree, so I'm not worried about that. And then we're going directly on to creating common ancestors, because that's where the meat of everything is. All right, so we're going to go live. Okay, I'm going to check my time. All right, that only took 15 minutes. Good. Let's go live and let's make some connections. Then we'll come back to this. Okay, give me a sec. I just have to press a couple buttons. There's 3 things in the chat. Are there any questions while I'm getting into this?
No, it was me doing the
Handout and stuff.
handout, and then
Yeah.
somebody with a Zoom issue, but I helped.
Yeah, you're doing tech stuff, huh, girl? All right,
Yeah.
let's take a
Okay.
peek at this. This is what we want to do today. We want to make sure you have dotted and grouped. Then we want to make sure we have cross-referenced from your DNA kit to your tree, from your tree to your DNA kit. And we want to make sure that we have sourced everything out so that you know it's valid. I'm going to show you what that looks like first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So we're going to start with some DNA. let me go to my mom's kit first. So let me put on my sprinkles because there's a lot for you to see. Okay, follow my sprinkles. If you need to move your pictures, I'm on the right. And so I'm in my mom's DNA kit. We're going to start with the arcs. And the arcs are right here. It's the beta thing. Come on. There we go. It's right here. Yeah. And so it starts out where they are all together and they want you to choose a mom or a dad on the side. Now you notice that this side of the arc is very much like that side of the arc. And so later I'm going to show you how that affects the choosing of the different sides. So I did not use the arcs to do this. I used the dots. And I want you to look on the right. See here, there's no dots. That's because Toby and me and my sister Sarah, we are both sides of my mom, both her mom's side and the dad's side. So we match both sides. How I know I don't need to dot them is if you look over here, it says, well, now it's saying both sides. That's from the arc. But you'll also see it's 2,156 centimorgans. We usually don't start dotting until 400 centimorgans. Because if you start dotting and separating sides before that, and that's what dotting means, separating. These are my mom's side matches. These are my dad's side matches. If you start doing that before about 400 centimorgans, you're going to get some people that are really both sides. The arcs are helping with that. Again, I'm going to show you how they're not necessarily helping. Okay, let's move on down. So now if you look at my sprinkles, I'm looking at the centimorgans. And now we see one here that's 956. And it is dotted. I used a star in this case. And that's because this was someone I didn't know. And so I had to figure it out. And so as we scoot on down, we're now at 800. Again, some of those are dotted because I didn't know who they are. Now I do. Now here we go. This one is another one. This was another whole situation. A lot of mysteries were on my mom's side. Once we get down to Martha Collins, she's around 400. And again, she's dotted. But let's take a peek at this column now. See this dot column right here? Look at, as I go down, all of them are color coded. In this case, the orange means the mom's side's the orange star. This is before we had lots of colors. I started this when we only had a star. That's it. You got gray and you got orange. The green is the dad's side. The yellow is, there was a mystery with that person, Stephen Hale, and these are the ones that match Stephen Hale. Not all of them matched him on Ancestry. Some of them matched him on another kit. So that's why I needed to have a different color. That's why you have a dot chart, in case you need to keep track of some of these things. And my suggestion is you write in pencil, because you never know when you need to erase something in genealogy. But when you see this kit, they're all color-coded. Now follow my sprinkles over to the left. You will also notice that almost all of them have a note. See these notes? And it tells me I've put them in a tree already. And some of these notes are older, so they don't say in the tree, they say what this is before, you know, all of the dots and everything. This just tells me who it was. Melissa's in the tree, but I haven't changed that note. It's an old note. And you go down and you see all of them have a note. That's because they're cross-referenced. And not only are they cross-referenced in the DNA kit so that I have a note, I have a color coding, but in my tree, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, they're cross-referenced in the tree too. So I don't have to say, Todd Graham, now did I put him in my tree? What is going on? Which tree is he in? And who is he related to again? Fortunately, Ancestry gave us another really cool tool, which we will get into, about putting them in our tree. So that's what my mom's kit is pretty much done. Because I've done all the ones that I have needed to solve all 5 mysteries. Yes, 5. Solve all 5 mysteries. And I have put all of them into my trees. There's 2 trees that I've put them into. So it's pretty much nice and connected. And that's your goal in most cases, is to connect everyone that's are your matches. Now, I'm not saying you're going to connect all 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, but, you know, connect like down to 50, that type of thing. All right, let's take a peek now at my dad's. On the right, we're looking at the same thing. We're looking at the ones that are both sides are not marked. Then when we go down, you will see as the marking starts. And here we go with marking, and we go down and you'll notice that there's a lot of orange stars and very few green dots. That's because my dad's side is one of my mysteries that is not solved. And they're all marked, but over here you will see that I don't have everything noted. This one, oh, speaking of 23andMe, so John has a kit on 23andMe, as does his mother, Kathy. Again, notes to myself. And Miles is in the Bates tree, but Wayne Sturgis isn't. And that is because my dad's mom's side has so many matches and no mysteries. None. They all just line up that I usually just use them for demonstration because I already know who most of the people are that I need to know. So that's my dad's kit. Now we're going to look at my dad's arcs. Let me make sure. Yeah. So my dad's arcs are split because I've already split them. You notice how similar they are. They really only have this little purple up here and this little pink down here that are not the British Isles. You see, with not Europe, Northern Europe and British Isles. Therefore, the algorithm that Ancestry use has trouble figuring out which side. So it's got 24,000 for, I'm telling you, that's all his mother's side, probably about 4,000 are his dad's side at the most. And for, oh no, that is his paternal. Oh yeah, no, I can't find those matches. These, oh, there's so many. Then both sides, 89. And when you have a family, like my dad's side, both his mom and his dad's side are very early in the American history. My dad's side is Jamestown and Mayflower. His mom's side is Mayflower and Jamestown. His dad's side came in like 1771, something like that. So they're very early. So therefore, you're going to find some that are on both sides, but not usually this many. And look at how many unassigned, even though I know this picture, because I know that person and I know which side of the family she's on. It's because it's Martha Murphy. That's what I'm saying. You still have to dot. You can't trust that the arcs are correct. You can use them as guides, like banisters on a staircase, but you can't trust that they know where the steps are. So your question is probably, well, how do I get here? How do I make my dots all organized and how do I get to build my tree? Because the dot is like cutting the grass. You got to do it before you can plant any flowers and get some cute stuff going on. And we want to get to common ancestors. So we just talked about the arcs that they help. I want to show you how you would be able to change it if it's not quite right. And so up here, we know I have it already labeled as paternal, but if you click edit parent, like if they have chosen it for you, lately they have a new tool where they choose the sides for you. And I can't remember whose kit I was on, but the side was wrong. I had to change it. And this is where you can switch it back and forth. Okay. All right, and you can do the same thing down here with the maternal side. All right, so that's the arcs. I got that, not sufficient arcs. So now you got to dot. So let's go over to Norm's kit, because that's what I usually demo on. Okay, and that's his arcs. And look at, they're even more closely related. So this is my dad's brother. And so look at how close those are. It's so they definitely will have trouble being able to differentiate. We're going to start with J. Bigler. So on a Mac, I press Command F, the find key, the find prompt comes up. I'm going to put in J and he shows up right there. On the PC, I believe it's Control F. And here's J. Bigler. Let's take a peek at this. Now, Norm's kit is not dotted because I use it for demo. We're going to take a peek at this. This will take us to Norm's profile. And in Norm's profile, it's going to say, oh, it doesn't anymore. Never mind. It switches to Norm's kit. In order to get to Jay's kit, in order to get to Jay's profile, you have to click J now. You used to click there. And up at the top, it says, do you match this guy with DNA? I do. And then if I scoot on down, my dad does. And if I scoot on down, my cousin John, does he? Yeah. Okay, you also can message Jay here, and you can look and see what other trees he has. It's now doing a little bit with the where you share your origins. All right, I'm going to go back. Okay. There he is. So now when you click this, it goes to the same place as when you click this. It didn't used to. We have a couple things to look at. We see Jay, and we see that maternal side, and that is correct. Jay is on the maternal side. If I wanted to change it, it's wrong, and there's a bunch of these that are wrong, I would click edit relationship. And when you can switch it up here, and it will give you an eye, a little information eye, knowing so that you know you've made the switch. So it's very easy to switch. And another thing that is really cool, it lets you connect it to the trees, which we'll do in just a second. All right, let's talk about dots. So we know that Jay is on Norm's mom's side. So I'm going to click add to a group. I'm going to create a pink dot for mother's side and change this to a pink. And now it will make, I didn't click there. And now it will give you a group. If Jay is on Norm's mom's side, then all of the matches that Jay and Norm share will be on Norm's mom's side, but you have to go down under 400. Don't forget that piece. Otherwise, it will throw all your results off. Okay, I'm scooting, and yep, we're going to start with this Kibe. So it's very easy. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click mother's side. Now follow my sprinkles. I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to click these, and I'm watching for when I get down to 50 centimorgans. It's so fast now. It used to be very awkward. There's Martha Murphy, who was undecided. In Norm's kit, she's on the maternal side. On Norm's brother, my dad, it's undecided. It's so silly. So you click here, and you just keep clicking, and then you click add to group. So now we know that these are all his mom's side. Let's do it again. Let's go back over here, and let's go to Joanne Clute. Really hard to get to Joanne Clute if she's not going to come up. Oh, I'm in Jay Bigler. I got to go back one more to all the matches. Okay. Find. There we go. Okay. There's Joanne. All right. Now we know that Joanne is on his dad's side. Okay. And so if I click over here, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to create a group, and I'm going to do father's side, which I've typed so many times. I'm going to make it a blue. Save. Click. Save. Okay, so Joanne Clute, I just put on the dad's side. Now I'm going to go back to her because I did it on this screen rather than this screen. When I'm on this screen and I make it blue, I can then get to shared matches. So I've already made it blue on the other one. You can make it in either place. I'm going to click shared matches, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I am going to go down past 400 right here, which brings us to Maureen Burke. I'm going to add to a group, dad's side. Then I'm going to go over here and start clicking until I get to about 50. And there we go. That's how you dot. And remember that if Norm and Joanne Clute are on Norm's dad's side, and all his shared matches on his dad's side, then all the shared matches of shared matches. So Maureen Burke, if I go to her, I can dot that also, because her shared matches should also all be blue. They should all be Norm's dad's side. So I get past here, and yes, you see the Bates, the Bennett Bates. And Bennett Bates is actually on both sides of the family. So I'm going to add him to the group. And then I would go on down and add these. Oh, I forgot to click save, add to group. Now they're in there. And that's how you make the dots. And you're saying, well, why do I need the dots anyway? I'm going to show you. Here we go. All right. I'm going to go to, oops, my dad's kit to show you big time. Up here, we have all kinds of different filters for grouping your groups, grouping and looking at your groups. So let's say I just want to do his dad's side. Okay. I go to groups and I go down to his dad's side, which in this case is green, and I apply. All of the kits that I'm seeing now are only going to have green dots. See? Green, except, is that Bennett? Yeah, no, that's the bishop. Yeah, he's on both. He's on both sides. All of them are going to have green dots because I've dotted them. And you see I have lots of different colors because this is one that has a mystery. Now watch this. If I want to say, well, which ones have common ancestors? I can do more than one of these filters. I can click common ancestors. So now it's everyone on my dad's side that has a in the group father side, and it has a green dot, that have common ancestors. And now I can go through these common ancestors and put them in the tree and keep track of who I have put in the tree. That's where these notes come in. Now, before I click another button, which is really cool, do you see how this says paternal side and it's got a question mark? That's because Joanne started as unassigned, but I know it's the paternal side because I know Joanne. And therefore, it will always give this little I showing that I changed it. It just says, yeah, conflicting labels. Do you want to keep it? Yes. Don't update it to ancestry. It's wrong. See, all of these, that's how many they didn't look at. Another one that's unassigned. And yet it's in my tree. I know what side of the family it's on. It's in my tree. Okay. So watch this. So here I've done it with the dad's side. I'm going to undo the dad's side. I'm just going to do all the matches that have common ancestors. Now think about how cool this is. If they have a tree connected to their DNA kit, if I hand put that tree into my tree, I then would know exactly how the connection is in my tree, building out my tree, and it would cause, because my tree is built out, it would cause more through lines in the kit, which would give me more connections. I know. That's why you want to put the common ancestors in your tree. And not only that, let's say you got them done. Look how many I got done. Common ancestors. Look at, see, all of them in the trees. See my notes in the tree. But watch up here. What if I'm not doing any groups? I'm going to reset the filters. I'm just going to do common ancestors that I haven't looked at. Unviewed means they're either new or I just haven't looked at them. And odds are they're going to all be my dad's mom's side. Oh, look at already. Now you're saying, wait, you haven't looked at Thomas Clement. How do you know? How come he has a star? And that's because he was probably a shared match of somebody who I already know is on the mom's side. So without even opening a match, you know something about that person. And if I'm working on the dad's side, I'm going to ignore that completely because I'm not working on the mom's side. And so when you scoot on down here, not all of them have stars. I would have to take a peek. Here's another one already done. And that one's at 23 centimorgans. Okay, this is why you dot. Let's move on to the next piece. Oh, good. We have lots of time. All right, the next piece, show the filters. Good, good, good. Also, I'm going to reset these filters. I'm going to stay in my dad's kit because it's well organized. And I'm going to click notes. And what this does is it shows me who do I have a note on and what does the note say? And they should all be dotted if they're noted. And if they're not, then there's a situation, because the note usually means I tried to put them in the tree. And in this case, so far, all of them are in the tree, but you can do more than one filter. So I can do, I want all the notes on my dad's side. This up here, this paternal side is based on those arcs. I don't usually play with it on my dad's kit because the two are too close. So I'm just going to go back down to the green, which is my dad's side, and apply. Now I'm just playing with my mystery, which is I want everyone to have a tree and I want everyone to have a green dot. Because what common ancestors does, and I'm going to go way down to show you what common ancestors do. Way down. And I'm going to go down even farther. I want you to watch this little slide. You see, as I pull it down and then watch, it'll pop back up. Oh, I must have reached the end. If there's more, it will pop back up. I'm at 11 centimorgans, way below the 50. And yet, I have a common ancestor. Even though I'm way down here, these should all have common ancestors. Ancestry's just catching up. And once I get a common ancestor, that gives me a possibility tree. So I'm in the through lines now, okay? And it's saying that my dad's kit, JB, and Jindy Lou, I've never looked at this one, and Jindy Lou have a common ancestor, and this could possibly be it. Moses Van Nami had Abner. Abner's sister is Catherine. And James comes off of Abner's line, whereas Jindy Lou comes off of Catherine Van Nami's line and all the way down. When you're looking at this, that solid white means it's in my tree. This that is not, it's dotted line and it says evaluate, means I have to evaluate that, which means I need to put it in my tree and source it out before I believe that Moses had a daughter named Catherine. Now, I have another tree that has Moses in it because this was another mystery. I just haven't transferred it all the way to this James Bates tree yet. And so I know Moses is correct. As soon as I put him in this tree, this will turn white. That's your goal. Your goal is to get these through lines, and it tells you exactly how they match. So if you are looking for a mystery, and I am looking for a mystery in 1740s, do you see this? 1752. And this was one of the mysteries that I solved through DNA, and to find out who was Elizabeth Freote's mother. That was the whole trick on this one. This is a little bit hinky here. See those names? It's just a little bit hinky, but that's okay. We can fix that. A lot of people have weird trees when it comes to the Van Namis. So this is the goal, is to make sure these things are correct and build out your tree so you get more through lines, because the goal in DNA is to make connections. So let's do that. We're going to go back to Norm's kit. And we're going to go back to J. Whoops. All right, Jay. All right. Now, he has an unlinked tree. You know, in the last session, be sure you link your tree and be sure that your tree is searchable. It can be private, but don't click that don't search box. You got to have it searchable. And the reason you want it linked is you will not get any through lines if it's not linked properly. So if it's your DNA kit, you need to link it to you in your tree, even if you don't use your real name, whatever you want to do, but it has to be linked in your tree in order to make these connections. And as I said, DNA, the whole idea is to make connections. So, but let's look at his tree anyway. So this is what we got. This private is J. Bigler. J. Bigler had a dad and a mom who he has not put on here. And we know that the dad was the son of Raymond Bigler and Willie Bigler. And we know that this Bigler is probably not her maiden name. And we know that his mom was the last name McDaniel. that we don't know anything else, and we know it was a girl with the last name McDaniel. So when you first are doing this, my suggestion is that you do a screenshot of this so that you can write on it. I think I have one in my folder. Yeah. Okay. So when you have a screenshot, and I believe I might have demoed this before, and many people will just print it out and then they write on it. And I'm going to annotate with the text. So what do we know? We know that this is a son Bigler. So this son has the last name Bigler, has a mom named Willie and a dad named Raymond. And we also know that this is a daughter with the last name McDaniel. Okay. So even though they think they're being tricky with all the private stuff, we still know all this information. And we know that this guy over here is Jay Bigler. Okay, that's what we know so far. So now I'm going to go look at my tree. And at the tree, I'm looking to see who I can find easiest. And I'm going to start with this Raymond and Wiley. And we see that they were born in 1892, 1899. I'm wanting to get them married and in a census. So odds are, if you put 20 years on there, maybe 30 years, they're going to be in the 1920, 30, 40 census. So I know I can then easily source it out. Let's take a peek at that. We're going to go to the tree now. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to hold the command key and go to trees. I'm going to go to my demonstration tree. And if you watch right here, it will open up a new tab. I don't have to re-sign in or anything. On a Mac, I think, on a PC, I think it's control. So I'm in my demonstration tree. I know I'm in my demonstration tree because the title is right here that says demonstration tree. And I'm going to see if I have any Biglers, which if you saw me before, you know I do. So here's Jay Bigler and here's Raymond Bigler. I don't have a J. So I'm going to click on Raymond Bigler and see what I have. And I have him in the 1940 census. This is good. I have him. Oh, there's his wife, Romilda Willie Ruby. I click on this and watch the purple threads. The purple threads tell me that Raymond was married or was the spouse of Willie and had these 4 kids, William, Mildred, Lloyd, and Donald. Now, remember, I've just proven location, era, and group. So I've sourced it out. This is valid. I can trust what's on Jay's tree. Now, the question is which of these boys married a McDaniel? So I'm going to click and see what I have. William, I don't have a wife on, so that's okay. He's got some hints. I can come back to him. And Lloyd, I don't have, well, I do have a wife on her, Melba Jean Hickman. That's not a McDaniel. And yes, he could have another wife. Yes, but I've set this up so we can do it quickly because then we'll get to the hard ones. And here's Daniel, and look at Donald married a McDaniel. So I know that Donald, who married this McDaniel, his son is Jay. So I would type in Jay Bigler, make sure he's living because it's not my prerogative to make him show. And here we go. Now there's a lot to be done. So first thing I'm going to do is make a tag that says DNA. And I just use the DNA match one. I don't use this. It gets too complicated. Simple is better. So I click DNA match. Now it says DNA match. I then go to note. And in the note, I write ancestry DNA, because remember, I have them in all 5 kids. Ancestry DNA. And if I look at it, his DNA name is just Jay Bigler. So I don't have to worry that he's got some, made up name. So DNA Jay Bigler, done. You have got to wait till it says correction, changes saved. It is. Also, what I do is I click on this. Oops, sorry. I go to the gallery first. And I've made an icon for each of the kits. These are available also on my on my website for free. I'm going to grab the Ancestry one. I have them for all the companies because I have kits from all the companies. And then I put it in his profile picture because when I look at the pedigree tree, I want to see who are my DNAs. The other reason I do this, so I've now cross-referenced from my DNA kit to my tree. And it doesn't matter if it was in in family tree DNA, I would cross-reference from there and I would use the family tree DNA and I would put probably the HTML on how to get to that family tree DNA match. And there's a reason there's a reason that I want to put these tags in. So give me a second. I'm going to open up another tree. I'm going to open up my dad's tree. I just held the command again. And I'm going to go to, we'll just go to Otis's profile. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to search tree search. And I'm going to go to filters. And on the filters, I'm going to pick the DNA match because that's the one I use. I'm going to do done. This now gives me 6 pages of all the kits I have pulled in from different DNA kits, from different DNA companies. So I don't ever have to worry that I don't know if did I put him in. I can just come here and look. There he is. And now we're going to go back to this, and under J, we've already put that he's on the mom's side. I'm going to put a note in here that he's in the demonstration tree. So now I've cross-referenced both ways. All of the DNA kits let you put notes in them. And so it's very easy to say, I've put it in my ancestry tree, James Bates. So it's all cross-referenced. Now let's do, there we go. So now I'm going to show you first, are there any questions on what I've just taught you about sourcing out? This was a very easy one. Any questions come up, Nikki?
Sorry, Cindy asked,
Yes.
why do you stop at 50 cms?
Oh, that is a really good question. All of the conferences I've gone to and all of the training that I've had since 2007, which is when I got my first kit, has said things like at 50 or 48 or 45 is pretty safe that it's a match. I took the highest number, which is 50. For the longest, which I took as 12, some of them say 15, some of them say 10, some of them say 8. I just went in the middle with 12 because I just want you to be successful. I'm not trying to be ultra specific or accurate. I just want you to be successful. And those numbers seem to be successful for me. Okay.
No other questions.
Yep. Okay. That's it. Yes.
What do you do when someone's tree is unlinked, but you are related by DNA?
This is what's so cool that Ancestry just put this on. That's what I was going to do next. So let's go back to Jay Bigler, and they're unlinked. The tree is unlinked on Jay's, remember? But now Ancestry has this great button. It says connect to tree. So by me connecting it to my tree, it causes him to be connected. So it comes up with through lines. So I just click here, and in the demonstration tree, I named him Jay Bigler. There he is. And now he's connected. So when I go back to the demonstration tree and I go to tree view, and oh, isn't this funny? I put the icon for Jay on Donald. Did you all see that? Or did you all just laugh at me? Oh, I think that's hysterical. You should be laughing. See how the icon comes up really nice? It should be on Jay. And I'm going to turn these on. Let's see if it'll turn on. This one's not letting me turn on the other through lines. Let's go to my dad's and I'll show you what it looks like. But anyway, do you see the mistake I made? I'm going to show you because I'm sure you're going to make it too. I was so excited about putting Jay in, but I didn't click on Jay to put this here and this here. Instead, I stayed on his dad. I should have clicked here and put him as the DNA match. There it is. See the little icon that's saying he's a DNA match and connected to the ancestry tree. And what's really cool is when you're in a tree, here's my dad's tree. Let me go to tree view. And let me go to, it's at home. And let me make it a little bit bigger. See all these little blue icons? That's saying that it's a through line. It literally shows you, because watch this. It literally shows you that dad is related through Otis, through Elijah, through Otis, through Comfort. It is the coolest thing. Now, through lines stop at the 5th generation, but they can continue to have icons based on trees, not based on DNA. Through the 5th generation, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I counted right, they will still have through lines. Let me see if this one usually is a big one. There's not going on either. Some of them, but sometimes you'll get one like at the 6th or 7th generation that's solely based on trees. Whereas 5th and down is based on DNA, also trees and DNA. That's why you want to get to the through lines, because now when you're looking at your tree, see, here's that Van Amme. It shows you where your through lines are and you can see them. It's really very nice. Okay, let's do another one. Oh, I think that's so funny. I completely screwed that up. Here we go. All right. Let's go and do Joanne now, okay? Because we had started with her, Joanne Clute. She has a linked tree. And in her linked tree, it's the same type of thing. We have, yeah, I'm in Norm's kit. I want to make sure whose kit I'm in. So we have private, and we know that that is Joanne. We know what she put up, because Joanne does genealogy. She put up her dad and her mom and worked her way back. She only has one Otis. You know, I have 4, or 3 or 4. She only has one Otis. So odds are Joanne is in my tree. So let's go take a look. I'm in my dad's tree, and let's see if we can find Joanne Clute. I never know how she spells her name because she doesn't spell it. Well, there's Ashley. Oh, that's why I couldn't find Joanne Clute. Look at that. Because she's actually Joanne Burke in my tree. So when you are in your DNA kit and you are writing your note, it's important to say what she is in the tree. So in the James Bates tree, she's in the James Bates tree, good. And then over here, let's go to her profile. And she's linked to the tree, and she has a note, and she's ancestry from the James Bates kit, and she is listed as Joe. And I think that's it. I have to go look. Clute. Usually I copy it. Yeah, there we go. See, this is what I need, because otherwise, come on, Sue. There we go. If you go searching for her, you won't know how to find her. You won't know how to find her in Ancestry if you go searching for her, if you didn't know that her Joanne is first separate. It wasn't, she changed it. It used to be one word. If it's separate and she put in Burke, and she hadn't had Burke there before, she changed it. So now I'm cross-referenced for both of those. And let's go up to Colin, her dad. And I'm completely sourced out on this one because this was a very new one for me once we found Joanne. This is the person that was the mystery, the Maud. We lost her in 1960 and we could not find her anywhere. And because of Joanne's DNA, we found her. So she's sourced out, she's labeled, she's cross-referenced, and this is her daughter, I believe. No, that's Colin. She has a daughter that has some kits too. Ashley has a kit. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Now, even if it is all the way down, so let me go on to my dad's DNA and we're going to just do a cold one. Okay, so let me go back. And so here's how you start. I want to do one on his mom's side because I know those aren't done. So, because most of them I haven't done. Dad's mom's side is the star. Where's the star? There it is. And apply. And I only want to see ones with common ancestors. That's all. I don't want to see anyone else. Okay. And then I want to see new ones because I'm bored with this side. All right. Now we're back to this Thomas Clement, which is a really interesting one because he's already starred. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look and see that he has a private linked tree. This is what's so exciting. I can't get into his tree because it's private, but he linked it. So it's viewable, so he could get through lines. And it's unassigned. So we have a lot to do on this one. I am going to go here to common ancestors. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign it because I know he's on the mom's side. Okay. Now I am going to go down. I can't see his tree. I have to contact him, but boom, 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 over here on the left, he's through Asa Parker. And I can actually see how he's related to me without seeing his tree. So I would go through, and I have, because it's white, I have Asa in the tree, and this is wrong, it shouldn't have a period. I have Asa in the tree, and I have Lydia. I would just need to put in Lydia's daughter, Dora. So let's go to my dad's tree and find Lydia Parker. And this is a real tree. This is not my demonstration tree. So I'm going to go to Lydia Parker. And while I'm there, I'm going to take this period off and lowercase this and fix this. So it's all the proper format and I get all the hints I can get. And this is wrong. There we go. And this is wrong. Now it's nice and clean. Okay, that's better. All right. Now I've got Lydia up here. I'm going back and looking. Lydia right here, born 1840. Okay, so let me fix her. Come on. Tennessee. Okay. All right, I got some hints because what am I trying to prove? I'm trying to prove that Lydia had a partner and Lydia and that partner had Dora VB and probably her married name is Fish. I don't know. Let's see what we can do. And she was born 1870 and died 1941. So you think about where you would look for that. So she had a daughter that was Dora VB 1870 1941. And we think her last name was Fisher. But this one was born in 1840. And so if we add 30 to it, that'd be 1870. Let's see if we can find an 1870 census. And why would I pick 70? Because Dora was born in 70. So I want to find Lydia, who married someone. Right now we have Parker, but we think that this is either a maiden name or Lydia's married name. It could be Fish. You see how you do this? It's not hard. Let's just click and see what happens. And we're looking 1870, 1880. We can look at this because do you see how we've got this fish thing going on, and we can look at those trees and say, oh, Lydia supposedly married to James Fish. Oh my goodness. And there's a Dora Virginia Bell. Look at that. Again, we're not going to believe that tree, but we're going to look and see whose tree it is. Because what if that tree is Thomas Clement. Let's take a peek at that. So we get Phil Andrews, Don Jackson, Judy Ferrer. Nah. Okay, so we know we were in the right place. Let's see if we can get there. Because once again, we're not trusting those trees either. You always do your own research. Okay, and this should be a fish. There we go. And now 1870. I'd like an 1870, please, Alex. That's what I would like. Oh, look at that. John Marion Clement. Ha! Thomas's. Look at that. Dora Clement with a spouse named John and Charles. 1810. Should we look and see? We could see if Thomas is in there, and then we would have done the 2 generations ahead, but we really need, not yet. So he might be a grandchild. Okay. 1870. That's what we want. 1880. DVB Fish. Father. There we go. There we go. Yep, 71 is good. So I would put this in my tree, enter it, and I'm going to enter it. I'm going to show you how I enter it. So I'm sure I enter it accurately, because censuses are very tricky for entering. First thing you do is you make sure this matches this, matches this. Because if these 3 don't match, you're connecting it to the wrong place in the tree. The next thing is over here on the right. Yeah, and I know time is almost up. Can I continue on, Nikki, for just a few more minutes?
Yes, please do. That's fine.
Okay. So right now, I know that this DVB fish, no periods, because it stops the search engines. And I see this is about 1871. I could leave it. I could not use it. But what I could do is I go like this and make it an alternate and just leave my 1870 and a 71. Arkansas is in the wrong format. It needs a USA. Good. 1880. This is the right format. This is her dad. The problem is, of course, the periods. We don't want to stop any search engines. And Tennessee, remember me trying to spell that. Okay, then we've got an MA. Now we know that MA needs the periods gone, and we also have to remove the fish because that is not her maiden name. We're going down. She was also born in Tennessee. We know that this is the right format. And then we have a bunch of initials. Drive me crazy, these early censuses with a bunch of initials. And you would be careful that this isn't spelled differently than you want it, because then you're entering all these kids with the wrong last name or spelled not how you want it. So you have to be careful when you're entering a bunch of kids that the last name is correct. And now we're going to enter all these initials. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put USA on the Tennessee and one more. There we go. Now it should have entered correctly, and we should not have any double up on kids or anything like that. So here is Dora. We now have Dora connected to her parents. What do we have to do next? Now we have to connect Dora to Virgil Clement. And you know, we saw that in that 1900 census. And then Virgil had an Arlie. Arlie had a male. Arlie, we don't know because it's green. And then they had Thomas. So let's do this. Look at that. Dora is now white. See it filled in white? That's what I was trying to show you. That as you fill them in, it will go through. And then you will go back to, oops, it went back to through lines. You will go back to Thomas and you will connect them into your tree. Make your note on your tree. When you go forward to Clement, to Virgil, to Arlie, to Thomas, you will do the same thing. Make your note, he'll be connected, and just cross-reference the two. When you do that, you will get through lines, and that will make, you will see how many connections you have. The bigger your tree is, the more through lines you get, the more connecting to DNA you will get. And so I will take questions. I know we're running late because we were late. Hold on, let me get back to my PowerPoint. Yep, I did all those things. Because what do you want to accomplish? You want everything color coded. Then the color dots and stars mean you know if it's shared matches on your mom's side or your father's side or both. You saw Bennett Bates. Then you want to, that's your first thing on your checklist. Then you want to create a tree and link it. We did that one. Now we want to work your paper trail forward by connecting to living DNAs. And so there you would look again at the color coding and then trees. And you want to make sure that you have linked to trees, even when they're unlinked or when they're private. You can now connect to their trees because of how Ancestry has set it up. You also want to be sure to cross-reference by putting notes. Which tree is it on? Is it on a tree? Or could you not put it on a tree, but you know it's the grandson of so-and-so? That's okay. So the color dots and stars mean you know if it's mom or dad's side. Linking your tree to your kit and then building your matches into your tree means you now have solid connections. Those solid connections mean you get common ancestor connections, which cause through lines. Because DNA just keeps getting passed on down. This is from this summer. All those babies were born in COVID, except the one right over here. And DNA is all in the family. So thank you very much, Arlington Heights. Nikki, thank you for having me. You guys can contact me through my email. If you just type my name in in Google, it comes up because of the odd spelling, but it's also on your handout. But I will take questions because I know this was a lot.
Thank you so much for joining us and dealing with the obvious technical issue that happened at the beginning. So we have, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. I apologize. Excuse me. How did all that effort with Jay Bigler help you source and confirm that Van name ancestor from the 17?
Okay, that's a really good question. How did I get the Van Amme? It actually wasn't Jay Bigler, it was a Gifford, and it was someone else in family tree DNA who contacted me. We shared a tree on Ancestry, and we each built out our end. He built out the Gifford end, I built out the Van Amme end. Where they matched, I then could go forward. That's how we did it. It wasn't just me. We had 5 people working on one tree from 5 angles. Yeah.
Okay. What do you, hello?
I was just going to say, all working from different DNA kits.
Perfect. Okay. What do you do when, oh, we asked that one. Okay. Please explain the list of color dots. How do you assign them all?
Okay. So when I first started, I was assigning colored dots to like my grandparents. They're all my grandparents and down forward, but that's not necessary anymore because Ancestry has so many colored dots, and the common ancestors and the through lines fix that. Now what I use it for is mom's side, dad's side, and I usually do a pink and a blue for new kits. For the old kits, I continue what I was doing. I also assign when I have a mystery. So for a long time, for like 3 years, I had this kit from Stephen Hale that I did not know how, and he was high. He was like a second cousin. I did not know him. And so I was connecting all the kits. I made him yellow. So it was my mom's dad's side and a yellow dot. And slowly, by looking at other people's trees, because Stephen did not have a tree and he did not answer my messages, but by looking at the trees of his shared matches, then I found some of his shared matches on family tree DNA and on my heritage. That went on the color-coded dot. So that now I knew exactly what I was dealing with. And then I do know it was a MPE, the misassigned parentage thing. Event. I got it. It's handled. Whole tree. Got the tree built. Move on. That's how I use it. I use it how I want to use it We don't need all those dots anymore. We did at the beginning because the arcs are taking up and through lines and common ancestry, but you still do need them if you're dealing with mysteries.
Okay, did you say that on ancestry, we should not have any initials with a period?
When you are entering into your family profiles, the crawler, this is a whole nother workshop. Just watch my calendar for using ancestry trees safely and effectively. The crawler that is searching is going to go left to right in each of those search fields. When they crawl, if they see something that stops them, a period, any punctuation at all except the comma, like on O'Shea, they stop. They just stop crawling. So you miss hints, or you get hints that are not yours, very inaccurate hints. And so, yes, you do not want the periods. You don't want any punctuation, no parentheses either. Make a tag for a nickname.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? The survey link is in the chat. If you guys want to use it from there, it will be emailed to you as well. The handout will be emailed to you again as well.
And you didn't do the survey for participation.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
That's okay. I was trying to figure out what happened and why the Zoom registration didn't go out. That's okay. I paid close attention to what was going on, so I know about how many we had.
Yeah, and there was a couple with last names that were the same. So
yeah, so the survey will go out, the handout will go out sometime next week or this week, and then there will be there is a recording that will also go out, but that will be about a week because our wonderful communications team does clean it up a little bit for us, so that it's easy for you to watch.
Oh, and we have one other question in here. They asked, why is J Bigler the maternal side? Two reasons. One is the arc showed him maternal side, but second, I know his dad. So when you start dotting, you go with the people you know, and then you'll know what side. It's really simple. If you know even just one of your mom's cousins, they'll all line up. That's how I knew J Bigler was the mom side. That's a good question.
Great. Okay, thank you everybody for attending. I will send the links out. Thanks everybody again. Thank you so much, Suz. I really appreciate it.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.